time for maybe my favorite section of trivia that I found. It's definitely up there. It's time for the Wutai Pagoda. So I'm going to keep the gem ring, I think. And let's give you counterattack. And HP plus. And enemy skill. And restore. And give you MP absorb Demi just for fun. And I should probably give you sadness, but that's lame and boring and dumb and boring and lame, so we won't do that. Oh, do I have a better... I could probably give you, like, the gold armlet. Yeah, I've talked about it in the past. I used to, like, not care about this song at all. And over the years, it's really grown on me, and now it's, like, one of my favorite songs in the game. How many ethers do I have? Okay. Be good. So, I've always been fascinated with the Wutai Pagoda because it has this cool gimmick where each enemy has like their own transformation and they're supposed like power change. So this guy is supposed to do like big physical attacks and then like magic change, supposed to be like a magic thing. But it doesn't really feel like that when you're fighting, you know? They all just kind of feel like normal enemies. So I always wondered, you know, what is the actual kind of in-depth mechanics of this? Do they actually follow these changes, or are they just random enemies? Like, you know, what's going on here? So I was really excited to dive into the Pagoda and learn a bit more about these enemies. And I found some really cool stuff. But the big thing that is the most interesting is that the entire Pagoda, all of the enemies are references to theater, whether it be theater itself, playwrights, actors, plays, whatever. All of the characters are references to something along the lines of theater. So all the people in the Pagoda, all the defenders of the Pagoda follow that gimmick, which is so cool. One of the coolest things ever. I love that. I wish there was more things like that in the game, like maybe enemies in an area all correspond to something. But in terms of the Pagoda, that's just so cool that they all follow this gimmick. So to start off here, Gorky, who, by the way, his name is spelled differently in and outside of battle. Outside the battle, it's with a Y. Here, it's with 2 I's. Gorky is a reference to Maxim Gorky, who is a Russian socialist writer who wrote the play The Lower Depths, which is a social realist play about Russians living in a homeless shelter. You may have heard about this play before. It's like, it's very known for being like one of the most depressing plays ever, but, you know, real plays. It's one of those types of plays where you don't go to be entertained, you go to see the human condition type deal. And it was a really important play for the time, as Russians, you know, needed to understand the living situation of the people in their country who were less fortunate. And one thing that I found that was pretty interesting, the original Japanese version, the characters are supposed to talk similar to the person that they're a reference to. So Gorky is actually supposed to have like a Russian, accent's the wrong word, but like his text is supposed to give off like a Russian vibe or accent. But in English, they totally miss that and just have them talk normally. So I think you get a bit more out of the pagoda by playing it in Japanese and understanding the Japanese text, because it would actually feel like you're going through the different references to each of the almost like you're fighting the characters themselves, the people themselves. But anyways, part of the Japanese name Gorky is Riki, which means power, which is probably why Gorky does the power transformation. Another interesting thing that's true about all the pagoda fights is that they all have the a flag, basically meaning that Yuffie can't change rows during the fight. But due to what is probably a bug, the fight is still considered a back attack, meaning that the enemies start with no ATB bar, and Yuffie's first attack will count as back attack damage and deal double damage. So if you look here, this first attack will basically be double damage, double back attack damage. So it did 300. If I attack again, it now did 146. So your first attack in every pagoda fight is a back attack damage, basically. And that's probably a bug. They probably didn't mean for that, but they wanted to make it so you couldn't change rows during these fights. And because of that, a side effect of that is that they accidentally basically made every fight a back attack. Gorky has two damaging moves. He has his dive kick and his Demi 2. Demi 2 does 50% current HP, and dive kick does 25% max HP. So actually he has kind of a gimmick going on with percentages of health. He also has barrier, reflect, and regen, but he only has 150 MP, so he runs out of those really quickly. And really there's nothing about this fight that's power change. Like, he only has one physical attack and it just does percentage damage anyways. And he does a bunch of healing stuff like barrier, reflect, regen, and then Demi 2. So he's more of a magic fight than a physical fight. But like I said, his name kind of corresponds to power. So I guess that's where they got the power change from. Let's see if Beta does any damage. Not bad. The health of these guys is going to be a problem because we're pretty low leveled for this. Counterattack helps though. And the magic shuriken helps. And look at that HP. The regen isn't helping either. This is a pretty tense fight. I'm glad we did this early. Not again. Can you be poisoned? Well, now all he can do is dive kick. I guess he had enough for barrier. He doesn't have a check to see if he has MP, so he's going to waste a lot of his turns. He wasn't completely out. He tried to use a move that he didn't have enough MP for. But he still had a little left, so he was able to use barrier. But now he's like completely out. Can I use question marks? Yes, I can. Do I have any healing at all, actually? I don't think I do. I'm gonna have to use an ether and hope he doesn't kill me. If he used that dive kick one turn earlier, I would have been dead. Crazy fight. Alright, now we got Shake. I believe these guys are coded as enemies, but I could be wrong. Alright, this is Shake. So, continuing the theater theme, Shake is a reference to Shakespeare. I don't know why Shakespeare is so angry, but that's what the reference is. Shake works exactly like a Shishi. He only uses Beak unless he's poisoned. Then he'll start raging. He'll start spamming Rage Bomber. And he'll also use Rage Bomber as a counterattack once his HP is below 50%. He has far better stats than Ski, but other than that, it's the same exact fight. So, yeah, he's basically just a Shishi with better stats. And he has the same exact model as well. I wonder if laser would work. Nope. That might be your proof right there that it's coded as a boss. Although Shishi might also be immune to gravity, I'm not sure. There's plenty of regular enemies that are immune to gravity. Poisoning him would definitely be the best way to kill him fast, but then we'd get a lot of Rage Bombers, and Rage Bombers hurt a lot, even with barrier. Nice dodge. Also, Rage Bomber took away my sadness. Ouch. Crazy how much HP these guys have. It's the same as Ski, so it's the kanji for, what do we say, anger, I think? He is literally an angry bird. And he's also a reference to the Neon Evangelion character. Neon Genesis Evangelion character, the penguin. Let's use a Turbo Ether. Pen. And I think I'm out of Tranks too, so yikes. This is gonna get rough. Yeah, a lot of people were surprised by that, so that was pretty cool. It's so obvious, too, when you look at it, with the repeating name and stuff. Alright, so this is Chekhov. Carrying on the theater theme, Chekhov is a reference to Anton Chekhov, the 19th century Russian playwright and short story author, widely regarded as one of the greatest writers of all time. He's where we get that phrase, Chekhov's gun, which is that literary principle meaning that you should remove everything from a story that's not absolutely required to the main plot of the story. She's supposed to represent magic, but doesn't use any magic. Literally does the magic change, does not have a single magic attack. Instead, she uses Absorb, which is physical, and Stare Down, which doesn't do any damage but can paralyze, leading to a pretty scary combo if you aren't protected from it. We have the Gem Ring, so we should be protected from it. Oddly, Chekhov has a 50% chance to start the fight with Stare Down, then does absolutely nothing until she's under 50% HP, other than countering magic with Stare Down. So, since she didn't start the fight with Stare Down, she will now just sit here until she's at 50% HP. And I can just, troll. Does Bio work on you? Yep. So I actually wonder if I were to just sit here and let Poison tick, if I would just win. She might not check her HP until I attack her. So this might actually be a free win. Let's see, what's her HP at? She has 5,000 HP. So now she's down to like 3,000. And she's going to drop down below half right now. Okay, she does check. I should have given Chekhov a gun. That would have been funny. This fight can be actually pretty annoying because of the absorb, if you don't deal enough damage. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. Yeah, this one can be really rough if you don't have paralyze me, because he can paralyze you and then just heal like all the way back up to full. Okay, I don't know what... Just do Protect Vest. Actually, let's do Talisman. Weapon change. He does have a weapon. Checks out. Alright, this is Staniv. So, Staniv is a bit trickier with the theater reference, but the Final Fantasy wiki says that it's most likely Konstantin Stanislavski, who's another renowned Russian and Soviet character actor and theater practitioner who wrote a trilogy of books about living the role of a character rather than acting it. He's basically the most important character actor in like history. Like he's kind of the inventor of character acting, or very close to the inventor of character acting. And he wrote several books about character acting that would go on to kind of make that a thing. Staniv is just a stronger screamer and makes the fight actively easier by using Warcry to give Yuffie sadness. So he's just like the previous one. He's basically just a screamer with better stats. But also, since Warcry gives you sadness, he actually actively makes it harder for him to kill you. Kind of, yeah. I don't know exactly if he was the only one to be renowned for character acting. But, yeah. If he's not the one that invented it, he's one of the most important ones to do it. He was a theater practitioner. He had his own theater, and he would like live his character in and out of the theater. People would know him as the character before and after the plays. And he would just exist in the theater, like run the theater as the character of the play. From my understanding. Which was, at the time, revolutionary. Ouch. I wonder if he can do... Yeah, method acting is more accurate, sorry. I was mixing like oh yeah, you can do the iron attack. That's gonna hurt. Good thing I have clear tranquil. Yeah, like the characterization of something. I was mixing up the two in my head. Yeah, method acting would be the more accurate term, where you live the character as if you're the character in real life. Which a lot of, like, even movie actors do that to this day. Nice, I got sadness just before the fight ended. That elixir is nice too. So, each of the characters within the pagoda have been a reference to a writer or actor. Do you know what the final one will reference? Does anybody know? Omni-change. Correct. So Godot is a reference to Waiting for Godot, which is a very popular play written by Irish playwright Samuel Beckett about two men having different conversations and eventually descending into madness, awaiting the arrival of a character named Godot, who never actually appears by the end of the play. Very, very famous play. I'm sure, even if you don't know much about theater, you've probably heard of Waiting for Godot before. Godot's appearance is actually a different reference, though. Godot's appearance is a reference to Asura, who in Hinduism and Buddhism is in Hinduism and Buddhism are powerful beings, sometimes demons, who are in opposition to the gods. But interestingly, in Final Fantasy IV, Asura is instead a queen of the Eidolons and is like a healing summon. So I'm not sure which it's referencing. Given that a lot of the enemies in Wutai also reference mythology like that, it would make sense that it's a reference to the Hindu and Buddhist beings, but it could also be a reference to the Final Fantasy IV Eidolon. Godot is the third source of Trine, and the only source that can be used to get Trine on all 4 enemy skill materias, if you were to get all 4 enemy skill materias before doing the Wutai side quest. Each head has access to different attacks. The gold face uses Sleep Hell and Mini. The white face uses Bio 2, Drain, and Demi 3. The red face uses Beast Sword and Trine. In the code, I found this pretty interesting. In the code, the gold face is called human form, the white face is called beast form, and the red face is called cheater form. And unfortunately, like, it feels like the gimmick of this fight is that you're supposed to look at the faces and then determine what move he's going to use. But unfortunately, it doesn't work because the way the AI works is that it just moves to the head as it's using the attack. It would have been cooler if it changed to the head and then did the attack so you can kind of like know what's coming. But he kind of just switches as he uses attack, so like you can't really like plan for it. But he does switch to the correct head before using an attack, which is kind of a cool mechanic. At under 40% HP, Godot will counter every single attack by immediately switching to Goldface and using Cure 2. If Yuffie is below 20% HP, there's a chance that Godot will instead use Cure 2 on Yuffie. So I don't know if I ever knew that. I don't know if I've ever seen that in action. But if Yuffie is below 20% HP and Godo is under 40% HP and you attack him, there's a chance that he'll instead use Cure on Yuffie instead of himself, which is cool given that, you know, the mechanic of the fight. But it's way too dangerous to like try to do that. But it is a really cool detail. And I could imagine somebody having a really cool, you know, story about this fight where they were doing it and they were out of HP and out of MP and they did one final attack, and instead of Godo healing himself, he healed Yuffie, and then they ended up winning the fight, and they thought maybe it was actually part of the story. So that's a really cool detail. Most people aren't going to see it, but that's a really cool detail. An easy way to win this fight is to poison him and not attack, because he'll never use Cure 2, because he'll never check his HP. You can also cast Reflect on him, and then all of the cures that he does put on himself will hit Yuffie instead. You can also drain his MP with Magic Hammer if you take the time to grab it. But he has 1,000 MP. But a lot of his spells cost a lot anyways, so he will actually run out of MP pretty quickly in the fight, even if you don't use Magic Hammer. And once he runs out of MP, all he can do is use Beast Sword, especially once you get him low and he starts spamming Cure. I maybe should have healed. I'm sad. This will be all right. Oof. Maybe I won't be all right. Oh. Yeah, I believe Demi is good in this fight as well. If I could get poison to hit, I would start using Demi. Ouch. You ain't messing around. Come on, poison. Come on, poison. There we go. No. Mini Yuffie. Nice dodge. Boom. Big damage. Do I have an antidote? I have a remedy. Yeah, so this Cure 2 is a counter. So this really is a... If you don't have something to really... Uh-oh. Okay. If you don't have anything to, like, really deal a lot of damage in this fight, it can be a fight of attrition where you just sit here and wait for him to run out of MP because he will always counter with that Cure 2. There's a couple different things you can do. You can poison him to offset it. You can put Reflect on him. You can put M Barrier on him so it heals less. But if you don't have any of those, you just kind of have to sit and wait for him to run out of MP. Good thing I threw up that M Barrier. Thanks, Evil. Appreciate it, man. Nice. Tiny Yuffie wins. There you go. There's the pagoda. Such a cool collection of enemies. Such a cool gimmick. One of those cool things where if you know where the enemy names come from. I do wish that the transformations made more sense. Like if the power change was actually a power change and the magic change was actually a magic change. And you had to kind of change your setup based on what you're about to fight. But either way, it's still cool and still pretty challenging if you do it right away. Yeah, well, you got Vincent for transformations, though. But yeah, it'd be cool if Yuffie had, like, if one of her limits was a transformation. Because they already had the code for Vincent. So they could have given her, like, one transformation limit. And that's my big gripe with the game in general, is that the characters aren't different enough, and a lot of the limits just deal damage. So it'd be cool to have another different style limit for Yuffie. The only thing is the transformation limits kind of blow, but it'd still be cool. Oh yeah, I learned about that a while ago. The crow noise that happens there. It's supposed to be like a ironic, like when you watch cartoons and they have some sound effect that's supposed to be like, duh, that's like a Japanese, like, everyone's being an idiot sound effect, but it's kind of completely lost on English speakers. Like, why is there a random bird noise? It's like the SpongeBob, like, meow, meow, that sound effect whenever someone does something stupid. It's supposed to be like that. I thought it was like, this is gonna sound stupid, but you know how at the start of a show or the next chapter of something where the character will wake up and the screen will kind of fade in and they'll be like a bird noise or some kind of like noise to kind of denote that it's morning. I always saw it as like that, even though it doesn't really make too much sense in that context, but in a way it was like Yuffie waking up to her new objective, so it's just kind of like a new beginning. It doesn't make any sense, but that was the only way I could make any sense of it, so I was like, yeah, maybe it's that. But no, it's supposed to be haha, everyone's being a goofball type sound effect. Let's see. I have a lot of money. I don't remember if there's anything good here. I always do this later, so the weapons kind of suck. But doing it this early, we can actually get good stuff, except for Red 13, obviously. Let's buy... those. I, like, never use the Murasame. I kind of want to use it just because I never use it. Wrong house. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed Wutai. I was excited for Wutai. Also, that cat's broken. I don't know why it like machine gun meows. I forgot to get the Yoshiyuki. I was like thinking about it when I walked into Rocket Town and then just totally forgot. Oh well. Okay, so you can have the Protect Vest back. That's fine. All that's fine. Okay. You can have long range and death blow and all restore, and you can level up an elemental just for fun, and you can have manipulate, and you can have time and barrier. And you can have destruct and gravity and poison and escape and mystify and enemy skill and steal and chocobo lore, and you can have HP plus and the other enemy skill, and another all restore. You can also have revive. You can have... does this have double? No. You can have seal and heal. And... you know what? You can have Leviathan, because it's your materia. Okay. Just leveling up a bunch of random stuff, because some of it I would like to have for trivia. I can obviously just cheat it in if I need it anyways, but... oh, also, just for the sake of getting Magic Hammer. Let's just put them both on Cloud. Let's grab Magic Hammer really quickly. Am I missing any other enemy skills? We went and got big. We got Big Guard. I think yeah, we got level 4. I think we got everything so far that we absolutely need to get. I think there's technically some we can get now, but like we'll get them as we go. In terms of stuff. In terms of enemies we've already done the trivia for, I think we've gotten everything. We went back, got White Wind. White Wind and Big Guard were the two big ones that we had to go back and get. The Murasame looks so similar to the Yoshiyuki. I think it's just like shorter. Yeah, we have Aqualung. Death Force from the Antimantai. I'm not sure if I had planned to get that somewhere else or not. Let me check my document. I don't think so. Is Zendamantamai the only one that has it? I guess I didn't know that. Alright, we should grab it now then. Then yeah, I think that's everything. Down at the beach by Wu Tai, you can learn a skill called Death Force. Whoa, Yuffie. Big damage. I attacked him, didn't I? I'm a dummy. Oh, I probably could have used it there if I was quick. Let's go in retro. played yourself. Alright. Now we have both of them on both, I think. Yes. What else can I give you just for fun? How about some fire and ice? Alright, let me run to the bathroom, and then we are on our way to somewhere. Basically, the next section is all the temple stuff, but we have to do gold saucer stuff first. And then we get to do the stuff outside the temple and then inside the temple. And inside the temple has some of the most crazy, interesting stuff. One enemy in particular really blew my mind in the temple. So I'm excited about that. Don't know if we'll get to it today or not. But some really cool stuff in the temple. Okay. So let's get it going. I gotta run all the way back. How's it going, Dark Lord? How's it going, Snipes, by the way? I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything, but I think we got everything that we want to get. Good to hear, Snipes. This is the other thing about doing the Wutai side quest late. So you have the high winds, so you don't have to do this. I'm starting to get really excited about doing another card stream at the start of the year. It's been a while since we've done one. And the best, not even just the best card stream, but one of the best streams we've ever done was when the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering set came out, and we did a bunch of box openings, and we went through every single card and talked about the lore, the references, you know, everything there was to say about each card as we opened them. And at the start of the year, I want to do that again, but with the Commander set, because we didn't open any of the Commander set. We only did the regular set. And so we're going to do all the Commander cards, and it's going to be even cooler because when we opened the regular set, you know, it was random. So at the start, we had all new cards, but then once we got to like the third or fourth box, we were just going through duplicates mostly, and then every once in a while we'd get a new card that we talk about. But the Commander set, we're going to basically open them in order. We're going to open all the Commander cards in order through the Commander boxes, so it'll be just new card after new card after new card talking about the references and everything. So I'm really, really excited about that. Commander is just a different way to play Magic. It's different rules. Instead of a 40 card deck. I always get mixed up between 40 and 60 because I play multiple TCGs, but instead of a 40 card deck where you can have 4 of a single type of card, instead you have a 100 card deck, but every card has to be different. And there's different rules and stuff. You get a Commander that you can... do I want to do anything else? I don't think so. You have a commander that you can pull in at any time, etc., etc. But the important thing is that the way you get commander cards from... It used to be that commander was just a different rule set. Now a lot of Magic sets have specific commander sets. And those sets are supposed to be for commander decks. The cards are built more for commander decks. And Final Fantasy MTG got one of those. So you don't get any of those cards from the regular booster packs. Instead, you only get them from the commander boxes. And so when you open up a commander box, you get the same cards that everyone else gets. And you get a specific list of cards. So we already know what cards we're getting. We're not getting random cards and a bunch of duplicates. We're getting you know, a very specific list of cards that are all new cards we haven't seen yet. So it'll be really interesting. Yeah, so I always do that. You can just run away from that fight. It's a lot faster than doing the fight normally. You can get a champion belt from doing the whole fight, but I prefer to just get through this, get through Temple, and then you can get Gigas Armlets from the maze. Although, you know, maybe I should start getting the champion belt, because champion belt with Gigas Armlet is even better. And especially since I'm running Red 13, probably should have gone for it, honestly. But at least for this playthrough, I'd rather not, because we might run into some random enemies we haven't talked about yet in the battle arena. But in the future, maybe I should start going for the belt. I just gotten so used to running from that fight, because A, it's fast, and B, it's funny. And there's two things I like most about playing Final Fantasy VII: going fast and being funny. Those are my two specialties. What date are we going to get? Probably Aerith. We didn't use Tifa much, and I did the default for most of the dialogue, so probably Aerith. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. In before it's Kate Sith. So yeah, long story short, if you enjoyed the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering stream we did, which it's on YouTube too if you want to watch it, it was one of the most fun times I've ever had on stream. I was having just an absolute blast seeing all the cards and talking about them and seeing the references, and I hadn't looked at any of the cards before, so I was completely surprised by some of the crazy references and stuff. And I have not looked at any of the commander cards either, so I'm going to be completely surprised again by all the commander cards. And any of the funny references they've done. Shut up, Gus. I am just a lowly knight. I love how Cloud spins away like this. when you do it normally.